Nicole Richie, your new show, Great News, just premiered on NBC. It's a satire of modern day news. I wonder, with everything going on in the world right now, if you guys are ever worried that you're not going to be as outlandish or entertaining as the actual news.
It's a strong question. Tracey Wigfield is the creator of the show, and she is an incredibly smart woman, somebody who I respect so much, and she is very much a part of the world, a part of what's happening now, and I know I have complete faith in her and her team, that we're still, I mean, we're going to make a good show. This is not a political show. This is a mother-daughter story, a workplace comedy at heart. And the fact that we're working at a news station is more so the setting.
Right. Well, I mean, it does a wonderful job of sort of highlighting some of the disparate extremes of TV news. Your character, Portia, talk a little bit about who she is and her position in the newsroom.
So Portia is the co-anchor who works opposite John Michael Higgins. And Portia is somebody who is, you can easily kind of pinpoint her as a narcissist because her energy is very different than the other people that work at this news station. She is younger. She represents the millennials, and everybody else is, really focused on more traditional news. Portia's energy is very absolute. It's like the sun. It breaks through anything that is in her way. She just breaks right through it. But Portia is nobody's fool. Her energy is different, but she got to that place for a reason. She got the job for a reason. She's very smart. There's a level of self-confidence and self-importance to her, but in a very sweet and bright way, I think.
Right, and I mean, you really do see the contrast between your character and John Michael Higgins' character, Chuck Pierce, who's this sort of old school Walter Cronkite,
yes,
twisted my tongue type journalist. Can you talk a bit about the differences between those two and the conflict that they encounter?
Sure. So Chuck Pierce, like you said, is really focused on a traditional way of news. He reads the newspaper, he wears a watch, he does not understand the rest of the world. He wants to keep things the way they were. He is very serious, and his relationship with Portia is basically non-existent other than our time on air together. We have absolutely nothing to say to each other. There are a few scenes there's one particular scene where it shows what our relationship would be outside of work. And it's when I first started working at the news station, Chuck and I went out to dinner, and he asked me what I was doing during the weekend, and Portia answered that this weekend she was going to a weekend concert, and he didn't understand what that meant. It was like I was speaking another language to him. So he's horrified with me. I think that he doesn't fully respect women as a whole, and then on top of it is this millennial woman who is saying words that he just really doesn't understand. So it's foreign to him.
Right. I was actually going to bring up that second episode because it's the one where they're trying to get you to the banter in order to get better ratings. And it kind of highlights something we were sort of touching on earlier, but the ways in which news is not necessarily news anymore. It's more about its entertainment value as you're watching it.
Yeah. And that will, I think, continue. I know will continue to be a conversation throughout the show, because that is very relevant today. What is news? How are we getting news? What do we consider news? Does it have to be dressed up? Does it have to be bright? Can it just be real? Can it just be facts? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's it's giving you a perspective of really 5 different people approaching that same question. And there's definitely the response that I've gotten from people around me. Somebody has said, "Oh, I am so Katie," or "I am so Greg," or "I totally get where Carol is coming from," or "I'm a Chuck, I'm a Portia." It's all very different perspectives that I think is really cool, because you can relate to, you'll find yourself relating to somebody.
Right. Working with John Michael Higgins, who you share the bulk of your screen time with, how do you guys create that kind of animosity? I don't know if you really hate each other or not in real life. I hope not. But what's the experience like?
First of all, I've been a fan of his since Best in Shows. So I mean, the fact that I had the opportunity to work with him is so amazing. My experience with him on set is, I almost look at him as a teacher. I mean, I walk on set every day just so excited for the opportunity to sit next to one of the funniest people I know, one of the funniest people in the business, and really watch the way he interprets his lines and this character. And he makes it a lot of fun, and really gives me a broad stage to play on, because he's so animated and uplifting.
You mentioned him being a teacher, and I just wonder if maybe there's some specifics that you can give examples of things that you've perhaps learned from doing this show in its first season.
I mean, I'm not shy about asking the other actors for advice, some help. And that's kind of I would say that's the dynamic with all of us on the show. Andrea will try lines many different ways. I will do the same. Everyone's very supportive of each other. And they really, you're able to have a lot of fun with these lines, and it just able to try things many different ways.
And I mean, you've got a great team behind the scenes as well. You mentioned Tracey Wigfield, and there's also Beth McCarthy Miller's one of your directors, and Tina Fey and Robert Carlock. What do those guys give you, the cast, that really helps you take this to the next level?
So Beth did the first. She's done a few episodes. She did the first 2. And they had already shot the pilot when I came on. So we were reshooting my scenes, and I went in for a kind of a 2-day prep with Beth, myself, and John. And that experience was very cool. Beth is, she's really good at giving you some backstory. Because it's important to root your character. And, it's not just about where they are right then. It's where did they come from 30 minutes before that? And where did they come from a year before that? And Beth is really great at, she was really great, especially the first 2 episodes, at kind of helping me understand who Portia was. And, I think the coolest thing about Portia, in my opinion, is that she's not interested in reading a room at all. So, that's something that when for myself, when I walk into a room, you feel what's going on, and you approach according to what's happening in that room. Portia doesn't do that. So she just comes full force. She has, whatever she is meaning to say, she came up with that 5 minutes before, and that's why she's in the room, and then she's out.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things about her that's really amusing is the stories that she pitches. Again, when that second episode, you're going to go undercover as an ugly person. Does she Does she take seriously the stories that she's going out there to do?
She does, yes, and that's something that I worked with Beth on specifically. Beth said to me, you know, when Portia stands up and gives these ideas, she really believes that everybody is going to be, their jaws are going to be dropped to the floor from these amazing ideas. Because in Portia's job before, which, you know, let's assume it's an Access Hollywood or an E, those stories get a lot of good response. So, you know, she really, in Portia's mind, she's saying to herself, I'm a millennial. I know what people are interested in, and it's this. This is what is going to do it. And isn't my idea amazing? Isn't it great? Aren't you guys so excited to do this?
I'm sure you've encountered people like that in your own walk of life. I mean, was there anybody specifically that you might have based her on, or?
I have, well, I mean, I have an entertainment family, so there are a lot of strong personalities, just I would say, in my immediate family. But yeah, when I read the script, it wasn't a specific person, but the second I read the script, I was like, I know her. You know what? I got this. I know exactly who she is. Okay. Okay. Yeah. I got it.
I wonder what from this first season were some highlights for you, particularly in terms of Portia's character, specific episodes that you think might stand out and really highlight her.
Portia bounces back and forth from, she is so self-involved, but then sometimes she will position herself as being, you know, as being kind of a therapist to Katie, and that's really surprising for me to watch, because, you know, Portia is somebody who you kind of think she's not paying attention, but she is. And she has this perspective that is so off, but you think to yourself, that's a terrible idea / could possibly work. And there's a few moments with Briga. There's a few dressing room moments, one in Portia's dressing room and another one in Briga's dressing room, where she just kind of schools Katie, and she's like, I know what's going on. I know exactly what you're feeling, and you actually need to approach it this way. And they're both ridiculous, terrible ideas, but it's really interesting that she kind of has like positioned herself as the, oh, don't worry, I know everything, and I care about you and know what's going on in your life, which you probably think that I don't.
Right. Much like 30 Rock, of which Ms. Wiggum is an alumnus of, this show contains layered jokes on top of jokes on top of jokes. I mean, sometimes you have to play it back just to see if you missed anything. How do you, as an actor, sell all of these layered jokes? I mean, do you know what I mean?
We were able to take way more time as we were shooting it than it appears in the show. You know, we have to cut it down. So the jokes don't roll as fast in person.
Okay. Where do you, so the show has been renewed for a second season. Where do you see it going from there?
Where do I see it going? I actually asked Tracey as soon as we got the pickup, we had a big celebratory dinner, and we asked Tracey, where do you see it going? And she didn't want to tell us too much. She was in the process of creating the next story. I think that there'll definitely be some sort of romance between Katie and Greg, is what I'm guessing. I would like to see Portia dance and sing for selfish reasons. I don't know if that's going to happen, though.
Right.
I've asked a few times. I haven't gotten a reply.
Well, I mean, anything can happen. So
Exactly.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much, and congratulations on great news. It's a great show. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Have a good one.